All right. So you can take 3 trades, okay? One during Asia, one during London, and one during New York. 3 trades max, and one each session. All right. Hope you're following me. Anyways, now during Asia, you want to see a push to the upside or a push to the downside. Let's say we get a 5-minute, and this is only on 5-minute time frame. Let's say we get a push to the upside, right? Now we are going to wait for a pullback, okay? And we're going to wait for price to create some form of structure. Now, once we have this lower low, lower high, lower low, after a big push, and we have a pullback, inside the pullback, we have lower low, lower high, lower low. Now, that is your range high. So you want to mark the range high out. But we don't have a range low yet. So how do you determine a range low? All you got to do is look for a market structure shift, okay? So lower low, lower high, lower low. And this is how the algorithm operates. So I don't know why, but anyways, once you get like a market structure shift like that, this becomes your range low. And keep watching. I'm going to show you how to take your entries. So now, when we have both the range high and the range low, then we can look for trades, and there's a condition, okay? So first thing first, we look for a push up or push down, and then we wait for a pullback. Inside the pullback, we look for a market structure shift that we get here. Then we have the range low and the range high. Now, on the 5-minute, you are waiting for price to either take out the range high or the range low. So let's say in this case, price goes down, and it basically takes out the range low. Now, you first of all, the first step, look for a market structure shift. Second step is price should close above the range. It should be above the range, okay? So this is the range low. We take out the range low, we get a market structure shift, right? Market structure shift can happen anywhere here, but we want to see price close above the range. That's first step. Now your entry is going to be through an auto block. It's not going to be fair value gap, nothing, just an auto block. This is going to be your entry, and you're going to take a long position. Now, this is going to be your full final TP, but what I do is I use my fib from range low to range high, right? And I take one partial, right, at around 0.5%, and then I close my position here. 0.5% off the range after the entry. All right, so this is pretty much the model. Let me show you guys some examples that worked out previously on gold. So let's just, all right, we are already on gold. All right, let's go to the 5-minute time frame. Let me see if I can find an example that worked today. During Asia. All right, look at it here. During Asia, we have a push to the upside. Now we have a strong push to the downside, right? Now look closely. What we have here, a market structure shift. It can be a wick. We are just trying to determine our range low. So this is our range high, and this low becomes the range low. Now notice what happens. We sweep out the range low. Notice we didn't close above this high, so this would have been a market structure shift, but it wasn't. But look here. What do we have? A market structure shift. And what else do we have here? An auto block. Price taps into it, goes up, eventually just comes down, and I'm just showing you this random example. Comes back for another retest, and then moves towards the final TP. Let me just go back. Let me show you more examples. So, all right, there's another one. Notice what happens here. Market opens. We have a big push to the upside. Hope you guys are following me. All right, look, we have a push up. Bam. This is our range high. Now we pull down. Lower low, lower high, lower low. This is when we get a market structure shift, right? Now this becomes our range low. Okay, so range high, range low is determined when we get a market structure shift. This leg, this point caused the market structure shift, and that is going to be your range low. If there's no structure here, then the range cannot be valid. All right. Now, notice what happens here. Price takes out the range high, right? It closes below this. So we have a market structure shift, and we have this auto block. Consecutive up close candles. We get a retest, and absolutely beautiful. Let's see if we got any setups during the London session. So we have a push to the upside. My apologies here. And we have a market structure shift here. That becomes range low. Now, we did get a market structure shift, but we were not back inside the range, right? So we had to wait for price to close above the range. So that's when we do it, right? Now this could have been your entry, right? Or you wait for a retest. So let's say this was your entry right here. Stop would go below the bodies. And probably that was a one partial trade. Yes, you can see how price tapped into 0.5 level. This could have been your first partial. And then price kind of reversed on you. So it's totally fine. Nothing, we didn't get anything during New York. So let me just go back. Let me see if we got a range low. All right, we have one strong push to the downside. That is pretty much your range low, right? Now we have a pullback. And if you notice very closely, we have a market structure shift here, right? A fractal low was printed here. So we broke below it. Now this becomes your range high. All right. Now the next step is we wait for a market structure shift. And did we get a tap into the auto block? No, unfortunately we did not. And that's really fine. But we did eventually tap into this breaker block that we had. Right. So this was a beautiful trade as well. Didn't get anything during London and also during New York because we had a push to the upside, but we didn't create any structure here, so we never got any setup. All right, we have one strong push to the downside, right? That is your range low. Now notice what happens here. We are looking for a market structure shift inside the pullback. We pull back, pull back, pull back, and that's where we get a market structure shift. Now that becomes our range low. And I'm not cherry picking these examples. I'm just showing you whatever is presented on the chart. So showing you the power, how well it works. Now, what else do we have here? A market structure shift, right? Now, the actual auto block was somewhere around here, but that is just way too far. All right. So you could have utilized this fair value gap. And that is like with the breaker block. So this could have been a unicorn model. And you can see how price is pushed up. I can show you a bunch of examples to be honest. They're just all right. We have this set up during London now. So we have a big push up during London. That is your range high. We pull back. We create this minor high over here. If you look closely, we broke above this. So that becomes our range low. Right. And then what else we're waiting for? We're waiting for a market structure shift. That happens right here. We have this auto block here, but it's just too big enough of an auto block. So probably I would use like the 50% of the auto block. I didn't reach it. Maybe a fair value gap here. Yeah, there's a fair value gap here. Sure. You could have taken your entry from the auto block. It doesn't matter. It would have given you a decent trade. You guys feeling me? Yeah. During New York, Asia, London. Yes, I am recording this strategy. Don't worry. Auto block is usually just the down close consecutive down close candles, so that sweep liquidity, or consecutive up close candles that sweep liquidity. So we have two candles that swept this liquidity, so that is your auto block. Okay, now let me show you a couple of more examples, and then I'll probably end the stream because we're not trading that terrible price action, bro. It's just nothing for this day, to be honest. We didn't farm any ranges whatsoever. Actually, yeah, we didn't. So let's just go here. I think, all right, I'm not sure if this played out entirely, but we had a big push. And did we farm any range low? Here, we did farm a range low, right? Yeah, this one just didn't work out. It was just such big of a range. But this was the range low. We got a market structure shift here, but eventually it just didn't play out. So that's totally fine. But notice what happened here during so this is the lowest point of the London, right? So this is going to be your range low, because if we consider this as our range high, right? The starting point of London is here, like the lowest point, right? So it's just not makes any sense. It doesn't make any sense. Let me repeat that again. So notice that we need a range high. So let's say we have range high, right? But we don't have a range low inside this pullback, and it price just went down and took out the starting point of London. So as I said before, we can only take 3 trades each session, right? Asia, London, New York, and the starting points should be from like each session when each session starts. So this is the move that we get. But if you look at it here, we have this big push to the downside, right? So now this could become your range low. So basically an ABC strategy in the course, right? But we are adding some rules to it. Now, notice what happens here. We broke the structure, range low, and now we have range high. Now we are essentially waiting for a market structure shift. So this is the high, we break above it, right? And we have this auto block over here. And a fair value gap as well. Price taps into it, takes out the range high, done and dusted. Let me show you more examples. Strong push to the downside here, you can see, during Asia. We mark out the Asia low. Now the ranges. Now if there's a range forming since Asia, then keep your focus on that, because you don't have to trade fresh ranges. If the range from Asia is still there, then just hold and look for the setups for that range. Don't just skip the range that is being formed during Asia and move to the London one, because it's just not going to work that way. So you got to move from left to right. Now, we have one strong push to the downside, right? We have a pullback. We broke below the structure. Notice how we did it. So now this becomes our range high. We take out the range high. We get a market structure shift. Absolutely. Look at the beauty of this trade. Now this bullish auto block, notice how it played. Wait, you could have just basically taken your entry from this level. Honestly, it was just too far away. You could have missed the trade. But anyways, you can see how this range played out. Absolutely beautiful. I can show you so many examples. It's just crazy. But let me see if we have a range here. Yes, we do. So we have a push to the downside during London, right? And now we're waiting for a pullback and a market structure shift, and that happens exactly here. Now this becomes our range high. What we get here? A market structure shift. That is your auto block, and bam. So